our game Saturday, mock game, I thought our coaches and players did a really good job of, it's not easy to try to take the whole day before and the day, especially with a night kick, to make it realistic. So I just thought that that's always important, but extremely important with so many new players, and they don't know what we do, and how anything from down to the stretch lines to locker room to clap sessions before, hotel meals, all that. So I thought it went really well that way. Now, obviously, when we do that, we set up kind of the other team is made up of our service guys, so the game usually always goes in our favor. And I thought that the ability to run the ball on offense, which is really important. We got a lot of receiver injuries going into this first game, so the ability to run the ball is going to be very important in this game. I thought our defense did well. We got to do a better job in the back end, but I thought our front did a good job. And as far as Furman, I think they're extremely well coached. They play really, really hard. They've won a lot of games. It's 14-14 last year in the second at South Carolina. So when you watch them, they play physical and they play with a lot of intensity. So it's going to be a really good challenge for us.
Questions? Lane, there's a report yesterday that said your brother Chris is going to be joining the staff. Are you able to comment on that?
Yeah, this is something kind of with a lot of different things, and my father, that something that we discussed and was able to work out. So it's really awesome to have him around without being too personal. I think that I know my dad's excited about that, and he reminded me our fourth time working together, so it's awesome, especially as his four kids will be here, and they're actually on the same street as me, so I moved in 2 nights ago, so that's really cool and really awesome. And from a coaching standpoint, gives us somebody with a lot of experience and good ability to game plan and knowledge.
Lane, I know you tailored this fall camp, like you said at the start, kind of NFL-style ramp up. With the way you structured it, did you accomplish most of what you were wanting to with how you created it this camp?
Yeah, we did. I don't know we'll see, does it work as far as are we ready to play in the first quarter of the year, because it is less physical work, less reps in our traditional style. So with anything, there's a cost and benefit. So hopefully we've been able to take advantage of the mental, walkthroughs in place of them, in place of the practices. And outside of a receiver, I think it's paid off health-wise.
Talking about your brother now joining your staff, just when you look at your staff, analyst and actual coaching staff, how do you kind of feel about this staff in terms of the experience that they bring to these players?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to have so many people available to them that have, one's been an NFL head coach, and I talked with Chris, another been in the NFL for a long time, and so I really like that we have so many resources for them from a football knowledge standpoint, from a life situation standpoint. These kids go through a lot, and so the more people you can have around that have either done it themselves as players or now as coaches, walk kids through different situations is of extreme value. So I'm appreciative of Keith for allowing us to be able to bring all these guys together and have the spots for them. And it's very Alabama model-ish, and being there was a lot to that. Everybody kind of, I think, looked at it as like, well, the coaches went there and kind of rehabbed and got jobs out of there. And I don't know if there's enough, thought of how much that helped the players, having all those coaches there. That's the way I look at it now.
Coach, we heard from both coordinators this past week, Pete Golding and Charlie Weiss Jr., and both were asked about how the team is gelling together with the new transfers. Heading into game week, what are your thoughts on the team with the new transfers coming in and learning the system and all of that?
Well, I think that it makes every year new more than normal. And so whether it's a mock game, whether it's going back over culture type meetings and explanations of things and how our expectations are. And it's good. I think that you sit and complain about that, and I look at it as a good thing because it makes us have to redo our meetings, like from step one, instead of just taking off where you left off with veteran players in your system. So I think it's a good thing.
How's the new communications, coach to helmet going? Did it work good Saturday in your mind?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it's a game changer. Like I said, I don't know that maybe it does that much because if both sides are using it the same way, it probably neutralizes offense and defense. But there's tremendous advantages to it. And then the iPads and the ability to rewind on there with live shot, with film, not just pictures, which I guess is even more than the NFL gets. Kind of made between series and other series like a lot of work to do and a lot of information. So I think just getting used to that. It's part of why we've also put Pete in the press box. I think that the value of the coordinator in the press box now moves up because he has access to so much information up there and to look at it calmly and less stuff you got to drop down there because it's already, you can just show the players the film, the assistants can.
Questions up top? Is there anything that you're looking forward to maybe learning and seeing from your team in a game situation that's more difficult to evaluate when you're in training camp?
There's a lot. All areas of it. Got new defensive players, got a mixture of different offensive linemen, got these receiver injuries to work through, and had an elite running back that had the majority of carries last 2 years, and so there's a lot of stuff that look forward to seeing.
Lane, what makes Caden pre-score? And we see what he does on the field. Off the field, a guy who's been through what he's been through, is a father. What kind of impact does he have on the team in that way?
Well, he leads by example, by how he works. And, you never know how players can help coaches. He lost his father, I guess it'd be 10 months ago now or something. And watching him have to go through that and then him turn around and help me with the same situation, which I certainly didn't imagine at the time, 9 months later that he just did with me. So he's awesome. Their whole family's awesome. And I think it's really neat to have so much around. I said this the other day, everybody talks about family, and we don't really promote that in recruiting like a lot of people do because I think it's overused and really isn't accurate. But this unit of staff and players and building really feels like a family. I think because you have so many players that came back too that we've been with for a while also, and especially like Caden with having 2 kids, and so it's pretty neat.
And then you mentioned the wide receiver injuries that you've got. Did you expect to have Juice and Jordan this weekend?
I hope to, but I don't know that.
Lane, with recently J.J. Pegues given the Chucky Mullins Courage Award, with all the people that were involved in the process of naming him the winner of that, in your opinion and knowing what you've learned, about the award and what it means to people at Ole Miss, what in your mind makes J.J. the right guy for that?
Yeah, I encourage, if people have not watched, the video of the Chucky story, which obviously most fans have, but we showed it to our players, and it really was amazing for them to see because we got so many new players. And having Tom Luke here, who at one point was roommates with Chucky, is just amazing for Tom to talk about it to the team. And then to have JJ, a local product, win it is really neat. And he embodies a lot of that in his spirit and how he is as a teammate and how he brings others up.
Just going back to the changes of the games, like the helmet communication and sideline tablet, do you think, or have there been conversations with new kickoff, like how it is in the NFL and guardian caps in game?
No, I mean, we've had so many changes for this year, and, maybe things have been mentioned in meetings, but we're so focused on this year and dealing with the changes because this is a major change. This communication process alone, let alone the communication and the tablet. So it's a lot of stuff.
You made mention of Alabama a moment ago. I'm curious, with your history with Nick Saban, we remember the sideline interactions you guys had. This past weekend, he made the comment that Lane is one of the best play callers in the country. He can take advantage of a defense as well as anybody. Just your thoughts on your time in Alabama. You made mention that you pattern a lot of your program after Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, as time continued to go on, as you're further removed, I had even more appreciation for Coach and what he did for my career and taking a chance on me. And then what I learned from over 3 years, that every day there's something that I pull from. And, he was asked about those comments. And, I think it's a shame when people make comments and they write things with quotation marks and then, the coach or the agent says they've never even spoken to the writer about that subject. So I think that's why he seemed kind of upset that they put those words to him or to Jimmy when both people say they never had that conversation ever with either writer.
You talked about last year, the players voting for team captains. Who are the team captains of this year's team?
We've not done that yet.
Anything else, Coach? All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.